A year or so ago, our family was on our way to a soccer game. We were running late and needed to get my son to his pregame warm-up as soon as possible. Pulling up to a red light, I noticed this guy on the side of the road just a few feet away from me with a sign asking for money. I was faced with a decision like so many times in the past. What should I do? Do I simply give someone a handout without knowing what if it supports his drug habit? What if I'm actually hurting this guy and not really helping him? Well, the light turned green and we zoomed away. A couple weeks went by and this happened again. This time, though, we actually stopped and took some time. We welcomed this guy, a different guy, into our vehicle and listened to his story. We didn't think he really needed money, though his sign clearly implied that. What he really needed was our time. When I reached back and grasped his hands in mine and began to pray for him, he broke into these deep, heart-rending sobs. Something broke deep down inside me that day, too. In fact, I probably needed him that day as much as he needed me. I needed to come back to the fundamentals of life, to take time for another human being, to dignify his existence, to reach out to touch one who, due to his choices or not, was suffering. I needed to slow down and come back to my humanity. I learned something important, very important that day. In fact, I learned that leading like Jesus means intentionally taking time for others, welcoming interruptions in our crazy schedules to focus on what's really important. Just this past week, I was reading in Luke 18, verses 35 to 43. As Jesus approaches Jericho, there's this blind guy sitting beside the road begging. Now, he's curious as to why such a large crowd has invaded his space. The answer that comes back to him is that Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. So he yells, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." The text then tells us that those who were leading the way rebuked him and told him to shut up. Obviously, Jesus had more important matters to attend to than a lone blind beggar beside the road. But this blind guy yells louder, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And this time Jesus hears him. And it's interesting to note also that Jesus first dignifies his humanity by asking, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Lord, I want to see," he replies. And then Jesus further dignifies him by saying, "Receive your sight. Your faith has healed you." Several leadership principles emerge from this passage. First, servant leaders like Jesus have time for those who have nothing to offer in return. Those on the lowest rung of the social ladder are acknowledged and dignified, not passed over. This also builds a leader's credibility. Second, lead like Jesus leaders not only have time, but they're also filled with compassion for the less fortunate. See, leading like Jesus always dignifies humanity with compassion. And third, servant leaders help others find their voice and bring fulfillment to their longings. Jesus commended this guy for his faith, and he emphasized that it was this guy's faith that was so key in bringing about the desired sight, the results that he wanted. And finally, leaders who lead like Jesus will always point to something bigger than themselves. Though he was the Son of God, Jesus always pointed people toward his Father. Notice that at the end of this passage, the healed man was praising God, and so were all the people who witnessed this amazing miracle. See, leadership is not about us. It's about something much bigger than us. So I want to ask you, how will you lead like Jesus in the coming week? Will you take time to compassionately speak a kind word, offer some encouragement, and dignify another human being? Will you help others find their voice and empower them in their life journeys? And finally, how can you lead that will ultimately take the spotlight off you and point others toward God? Lead like Jesus, folks. Our blind world needs sight.